this is fascinating what's going on with Steven Crowder. Like 2 days ago, he put out this cryptic tweet that was something to the effect of like, I'm not going to be silent anymore. And honestly, I thought this was going to be some type of personal revelation that he had about himself that he's kept hidden away. Mm-hmm. Like he stored in, let's say, a closet and opened it up and said, here it is. But it turned out to be something a little bit different than I thought. As you know, he was fired very suddenly from the Blaze at the end of last year. Now, it could be just the Blaze went out of money, but he knew that his contract was up and maybe he presumed that they would, of course, re-sign him. And apparently they didn't. So much so that he didn't even have access to like his email list and this and that. I guess he's been like a full-on employee of the Blaze. I didn't really realize what their relationship was, but he didn't even have access to like his show assets, as it were. I wonder if he even owns the Words Mug Club.
He had to set up a new, I mean, per that video on the Core Green, which I don't know if we have time to get into, but like he had to set up a new website to get everyone to give him his email addresses, and he had to do it twice because he effed it up the first time.
Yeah. A real tight operation. Conservatives can't run a business. I mean, that's what's clear, I think, obviously. But nevertheless, here is Steven Crowder enraged. Now, let's be clear. This is a clip that he posted. It is a compilation of his full hour on YouTube.
Well, he did a 27-minute episode of said like something like "This ends now," and he posted this is from that.
And to be clear, in other places, he makes it clear that he's not talking about the Blaze. He's talking about an offer he had to join a major conservative network, not a TV one, an online one. And one
playing Guess Who here, and I'm down to a few.
I'm pretty much down to one, I think.
It's either PragerU, which I find hard to believe, or Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Well,
who knows? We don't know, but let's listen to this.
So, if you've watched for the last decade, you know that I've always made it clear that we here at Mug Club are in the business of serving you, the viewer, you watching, listening right now. I've also made it clear that I wouldn't be in the business.
Pause it for 1 second. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to notice. When Steven gets even slightly nervous about something, because I noticed this when he was talking to Ethan Klein before Ethan Klein brought me on their debate and he ran away. He gets a little bit breathless. Mm-hmm. Like things contract. I mean, this is like, when you're an actor or you're a performer in some way, that like sometimes you can get training to like, keep yourself from contracting your chest. And you can hear he's getting very nervous about like blowing the whistle because he's going out onto the limb here. And it almost looks like he's about to faint, frankly. But
well, there, look at that.
Now I'm unclear. It doesn't look like he's got his holster on. So maybe
the holsters have been taken down.
Wow.
Maybe he's afraid because he doesn't have his gun strapped to his side, which gives him his strength.
He doesn't have his blankie.
Yeah, but he is wearing his favorite shirt that makes his muscles look really big today. So
did you see in the bottom left corner? There's that. You know what that is in the bottom left? That's a bunch of pipes.
Oh,
tobacco pipes.
Well,
what a nerd.
Now we can do that in the house offices.
So, if you've watched for the last decade, you know that I've always made it clear that we here at Mug Club are in the business of serving you.
What?
The viewer, you watching, listening right now. I've also made it clear that I wouldn't be in the business of attacking other conservatives, regardless of disagreements or personal issues. And I've always explained my logic was relatively simple. I believe that the world was better with more voices out there rather than less, regardless of minute differences, considering the magnitude of the battle that we are genuinely fighting for our country right now. But for the first time, I have to say that I believe many of those in charge in the right-leaning media are actually at odds with what's best for you, the viewer, the customer, and more importantly, the country.
The customer's always right.
We here at Mug Club, we thought that we were all in this together, that we were fighting the media, entertainment, industrial complex. We thought that we were all genuinely taking it to big tech. Mm-hmm. But too many of those in charge of the big conservative platforms are verifiably in bed with them. Big tech is in bed with Big Con. The people you thought,
it's a funny name for it.
The people I thought were fighting for you, a lot of it has been a Big Con. Now, I'm specifically avoiding naming names or going after individuals in this video.
Can you name their religion?
Because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are, have a change of heart.
Whoa, pause it
It's
for
never
1
too late
second.
to do the right thing.
Pause it for 1 second. Pause it. He's just said that Big Con is against the American people and the audience, but yet he's not going to name names. Like, does he think that even if they capitulate to his demands, that they're going to change their disgusting attitude in their relationship with big tech?
I mean, maybe he'd name names if he was a little bit braver. He's got to get the holsters back, and he can finally give us the real names here.
You can see how tightened his chest is. Like, I mean, this guy. I feel like he's having some type of asthma attack.
I know.
While this is going on. Like, honestly, I'm starting to think that maybe those pipes are really just like, disguised inhalers. But let's continue. Go back a little bit, because he's going to explain how Big Con is in league with big tech.
But not name names. Interesting.
But not name names.
Big tech is in bed with Big Con. The people you thought, the people I thought were fighting for you, a lot of it has been a Big Con. Now, I'm specifically avoiding naming names or going after individuals in this video, because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are,
give you a better contract,
have a change of heart.
Give me a better contract.
It's never too late to do the right thing.
Yep.
Guys,
get rid of those clauses.
This is a genuine plea. We can all do better. We can all do better. It doesn't have to be this way. And please, don't make me have to provide receipts. Now, to the others out there who have now been able to verify, have been locked into exploitative contracts that I have the luxury of not having to sign, which is why I'm doing this. Those of you out there who've been locked into this, and you know what I'm talking about, stay tuned. I've got something for you before this video is done.
Whoa.
Wow.
So to be clear, he has been, what appears to be is he has been offered a job from one of these big cons networks, and he got the contract and he was shocked. And then it sounds like he spoke to some of the people who are working for these big cons, and they are in these, what did he call it? Something, what was the adjective he used about the contract?
Exploitative.
What?
But wait a second. It's contract. Doesn't every party, you sign a contract if you think it's in your best interest?
Yeah, I mean,
how can
freedom of it.
How can there be an existence of an exploitive contract if you just walk into it yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we have been told over and over and over and over again by conservatives? That the idea that there is no such thing as an exploitive contract because you have free will. Then if you enter into the contract, it can't possibly be exploitive because you have found it in your best interest to do it. And the idea that anybody else has signed a contract and it could be exploitive is impossible based upon almost every single principle of capitalism that Steven Crowder has espoused for a decade.
And what would an exploitative contract look like for, and I know we'll get to it in a second, but for somebody who has a lot of money, has a lot of power, like what is his definition of being exploited by a big con company?
Well,
that's
hold
my
on for
question.
a second. Well, yeah, but this is important because if there is such a thing as an exploitive contract, that means that there's such a thing as asymmetry in the marketplace. That one person has the ability to coerce another person, or one party, I should say, has the ability to coerce another person to get involved in an exploitive contract, because if they don't have the ability to coerce you into it, an exploitive contract can't exist. It is an oxymoron. because a contract implies two people have entered into an agreement, both with their own will. And so if an exploitive contract can exist, then there must be power imbalances in the marketplace. And if there are power imbalances in the marketplace that can force people to sign an exploitive contract, there is no such thing as a free market. That means that somehow the context of the market, the way that it's set up, favors one party versus another party. And so who sets up the marketplace? Who enforces that contract? If the contract is broken, where do you go? Who has the monopoly of force? It is the government. And if the government has set up the marketplace in which an exploitive contract can exist, then they have set it up in such a way to favor one party versus another party, because that party has the ability to coerce the second party.
And surprise, it's the bosses.
It's the bosses. And if that's the case, then the only way to get a so-called free market, or at least one that has some symmetry where you do not have exploitive contracts, is for that same entity which set up the marketplace, which has the monopoly of force to enforce the contract, the government, to step in and even the playing field so that there are no exploitive contracts. So the FTC says you can't have non-compete clauses in your contract. Or maybe we set up labor unions so that the other party has more power, bargaining power, and does not get into a coercive contract. I mean, we can go on and on and on. But you understand what Steven Crowder has admitted in this video is that everything he talks about, the fundamental basics of what he talks about in terms of his vision of what U.S. capitalism period has been a lie.
Yep. And so now the capitalist cheerleader tries to do a little bit of class solidarity. Let's see how it works out for him.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess he released, or somebody took a picture of the contract and put it out. He has redacted the name of the entity that obviously wants to hire him under these, what he says, exploitive terms. And maybe they are exploitive. It's almost largely irrelevant once he admits that there is such a thing as an exploitive contract. He has admitted that his entire worldview about capitalism has been a lie. But let's take a look at it.
Here's the worst part. Do not, kids, under any circumstances, sign a contract with people who claim to be conservative, but will penalize you 25% for any demonetization or sponsor boycott. Look, let me read this to you. If any of the major platforms, oh no, sorry, that's the second one. Let me go back to the first one. There's another 20%. It's 45% if you get a content strike. Let's start with the demonetization. If blank is boycotted or dropped by more than 50% of the advertising partners, the company is not able to replace them within 90 days, the fee will be reduced by 25%. That's a sponsorship boycott. So that's saying, hey, liberals, boycotts work. They work on our guys.
Pause it for a second.
Will punish.
Now, I will just say this. That's good to know. That's good to know that if somebody from whatever entity this is gets a sponsorship boycott, that they will have a fee reduced. Mm-hmm. It's good to know.
It's also the market. Like a capitalist says, hey, if you do something, if you behave in a way that hurts the revenue that I was expecting from you, I'm going to, that's going to be reflected in your fee.
And we should say that, it's not just, boycotts are not just political. You should have seen it when they got rid of the old Coke. People went crazy and the market responded. But it's just good to know for folks who are wondering what the value of a boycott is. If you want to take a little money out of someone like Steven Crowder's pocket, not Steven Crowder, he's not going to sign this unless they come around and give him a lower percentage because of his principles.
Damn, look at the content strike, the B that says, if any major platforms, e.g. YouTube, who wrote this contract?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's irregular for them to have typos in it, but I mean, it's kind of shoddy.
The interesting thing is going to be like if he drops this, we're going to know who this company is.
I think he should expose him.
I think he should. I don't think he will, but I hope so.
Let's keep going here.
Fee will be reduced by 25%. That's a sponsorship boycott. So that's saying, hey, liberals, boycotts work. They work on our guys. We'll punish them for you. Let me go on.
Now it's like saying
YouTube
you've told everybody, you ding dong.
If any of the major platforms issues a content strike such that Crowder cannot be monetized on such platform, and the company is not able to resolve the issue within 90 days, the fee will be reduced by 25% moving forward. Now, I thought this was a mistake because, these people maybe didn't know who I am, that we've been demonetized for 3 years.
Well, they probably did know that.
No, it was made very clear to me in no uncertain terms. This is what's sent out to everybody.
Wow.
And then if you get a strike,
he's shaking their paws. Sorry, just go back a little bit so we can see how he shakes in that. But from my perspective, if we cause the Daily Wire to lose advertisers, from my perspective, I don't care if that comes out of the investors and their sort of dividend, or if that comes out of the talent. I'm frankly just happy they lost advertisers. But yeah.
And then if you get a strike, meaning a suspension, another 20% reduction. And then another 20% of it happens on Apple. And then another 10% of it happens on Facebook. And then another 10% of it happens on Spotify. Imagine you're deplatformed, as we've seen in the past, where all of the major entities decide to remove you in one day. Rather than having a conservative alternative, you would now be down to 5 to 15% of the revenue of your contract. Think about this for a second. Those in charge, the big conservative, the big con, and it really is the biggest con going right now. They're making it known in their contracts that they will enforce the guidelines of big tech and punish conservatives on their behalf. Don't worry, Wojcicki. Trust me, these conservatives will stay in line. If they get demonetized, we take away 25% of their operating budget. Take another 20% away if they get a hard strike. Hey, don't worry, Zuckerberg. We've got your back. Hope to see you at the UFC Apex.
That's their back they're getting.
Yeah, that's capitalism, baby. You're costing your employer money. You're not doing your job.
Wait,
they are a money-making operation.
These guys are in it for money and not the love of the game?
Yeah, I'm shocked by that. Also, you can see how insecure he feels now that he's basically gone from the Blaze TV, right? That was where he left. He was looking for another entity, a larger one, we can speculate as to what it is, that would give him a little bit more security so he could continue to be racist, homophobic, transphobic, and extreme without consequence. And that's what he's shaking upset about, is that the contract that they proposed to him was not going to give them that security, because newsflash, they're a for-profit company.
Yeah.
And they see your explicitly racist or bigoted content as a liability.
What he explicitly says, you won't have me to come lie about the election and say that Arizona there's some really fishy stuff. That's what he's actually touts when he says they want to silence me. It's because of my election lies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have to say though, I am really surprised at how little confidence Crowder must have in his own business acumen.
Go independent, buddy.
He is, but it's not going to be enough revenue.
Yeah.
We are not paid. We are not paid by anybody. We had a license deal with Peacock for 12 months, which involved none of those provisions. It was basically, we rerun your show and give you money. And the only requirement is that we needed to have a break. We needed to have 2 breaks. That was it. And end the first hour at 55 minutes. So there was a little bit constraining. Sometimes they like to go long with an interview. Sometimes they like to go shorter, whatnot. But we run a business here. This is a business. I am really surprised at how conservatives can't run businesses. But with that said, and somebody just suggested this on the IM. Silo Sibin says Crowder just wants that nice LEC contract. Hit him up, Sam. And Matt was talking about his net worth. People can verify this by going on the internet. What his net worth is. I want to extend an olive branch to Steven Crowder. If and I understand his disillusion with the big con, but if he wants to remain independent, I am willing to have a conversation with him about how to do so. I can tell him how we have done it here for 12 years.
Yep.
Actually, 13 years now, or 12 and a half or something, 3,000 shows. Of course, I don't have a holster or gun I wear. I have a huge 16-inch knife strapped to my calf down underneath here. So I am going to extend an olive branch. I will talk to Steven Crowder about this. Steven, I think you guys know how to contact me. And if I need to talk to his dad about this, I'm happy to have that conversation as well. So maybe Steven and his dad can show up and I can bring Saul and we can sit down and the four of us can hash this out. So I want to put that out there that I am open to having a conversation about this and help him in any way I can get out from the under the boot of what he calls the big cons.
Big con, yeah.
Yep.
So,
do you think he's like? I know other people have gotten in these contracts. Like, do you think he's talking about Candace Owens?
That's what I'm thinking, right? I'm shocked that she is not.
Because
Like,
can we put up that tweet? Hold on. Can we put up that tweet? Do we have the tweet? This is the best part, is that his audience thinks they've figured it out, who it is, and put up that tweet. There's the contract. But if you go in and read what it says, the contract they tried making Crowder sign is too Jewish to not be from Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. So there it is. What a great audience he's cultivated.
Shapiro's not a secular Jew, so I don't know if Crowder might need to amend his.
That's right. Crowder wanted to talk about the secular Jews, but not the religious Jews.
Yeah.
I wonder if when he made that point, he was anticipating
Yeah.
maybe a negotiation going on at that time. I wonder if he would amend that now. Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. But this drama will continue to unfold.